He is here, Joe Elliott. Good afternoon,
Good evening,
sir.
good afternoon, whatever
How are
it
you?
is. I'm grand, actually. I'm really good, yeah.
Busy
Happy days.
busy old day for you today, flying around, doing the thing and talking about the UK and European dates which are coming up for next summer, and we'll get onto those in a moment. But the reason I was really looking forward to you being on the show is that you are such a genuine music fan, right? And I love your passion for this ridiculous thing, right? Because yes, you're an artist and you've got an amazing band, but you're still a music fan at heart, aren't you?
I'm a music fan more than anything else. Having art, when people say you're an artist, I always think, it's a bit uncomfortable. It's like when your passport says, occupation says musician, and I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, I've literally, since I could crawl, I think the first thing I did was crawl towards the radio. And then I progressed upwards. Once I was able to stand, I would pretend to sing into the vacuum cleaner because it looked like a microphone stand, which we actually mimicked in a video for a song called Me and My Wine about 1984, just to kind of take that full circle, I mean, I am just a fan. I just love music. I listen to it all the time. Also, and I'm not just listening to rock. I listen to everything from, it doesn't matter whether it's, the Foo Fighters or it's Miles Davis. I mean, I'm into everything.
I love that. And do you remember, though, the moment that you realised that doing it, being in a band, was really going to be the only thing you could ever do in life?
I think I always wanted to be involved in music one way or another, and it was whatever I fell on my feet first doing would be what I could have been a DJ, I could have been an engineer, I could have been a roadie, or a tech, as we like to call them these days. But I was very fortunate that I just landed on my feet when I met a guy called Pete Willis, who I knew played guitar, and I just said, hey, want to get a band together? Because all these punk bands were forming, and, even as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid, I'm like going, well, they can't really play. But it sounds amazing, it's only 3 chords. And
but that's what punk was all about.
Exactly.
Punk was about making it accessible to everybody. And so, my next question was going to be, how realistic was making it? There you are, a young bunch of lads in Sheffield. You're watching Top of the Pops. You're seeing David Bowie, Mark Bolan do it. And if they can do it, surely you could do it too.
Yeah, I think the light bulb moment was Starman on Top of the Pops in, I believe it was June of 72. And, the iconic 2 seconds that everybody always focuses on is the beginning of the second verse when he goes, I had to call someone, so I picked on you, who, and he spins his finger at the camera. And I remember just thinking, he's pointing at me. Because it's like that. You remember there's an old poster, the US Uncle Sam wants you for the army. Wherever you are, he's pointing at you. It's very cleverly done. And that's what Bowie kind of mimicked a little bit on that thing. And he had his arm draped over Mick Ronson. And I just remember as a 12-year-old kid thinking, this is it. But I'd been a big fan right up to that moment, but that nailed it for me. It's like, this is what I want to be involved in. And
not only are you a fan of music, but you also collect a lot of stuff. So you collect stuff from your own history, your own career, but externally as well. And you got this cool bar, and you collect all this stuff. Have you sort of, is that like a serious pastime, or is that just sort of naturally just keeping stuff?
Something that I just naturally progressed to doing. I think I started off being the band's archivist because I thought, well, we'll probably have a 5-6 year run, like, Sweet, Slade, all these bands, T-Rex even, all these bands that made a bit of a noise and then they just all disappeared. Nobody thought when we formed in 77 that we'd still be going in 2025. I mean, no, you ask Roger or Pete from The Who, or you ask Robert Plant if they thought they'd be doing this at their age, they'd be like, going, no, of course we didn't.
I think you can watch a really early interview with the Stones, and Jagger is asked, like, how long are you going to do this for? And he's like, oh, maybe another 18 months or so.
I saw that, and he was wearing a polo neck sweater too. Very rock and roll, So I've got pretty much one of everything is what I like to keep saying. Whenever we release, if we put an album out and it's in 10 different formats, I want one of each format, and they're up on the shelf. I don't even take them out the shrink wrap, but I have them off the ground in case we have a flood. I mean, I'm really anal about this, you know what I mean?
You are arguably bigger now than you have probably ever been as a band, and you are still out on the road, still gigging, still touring. You collectively love it as a band, right? This is what you do.
Yeah. And it's something that, fingers crossed, has never gone away. In 48 years since we formed, and this lineup's been together for 33 years, which is a ridiculous achievement when you think about it, Through all the hardships that we've had, I mean, we lost Pete along the way, we lost Steve and Rick had a really terrible accident, but stayed in the band. So there's been a lot of kind of odd times, but there's been so much more good times, if you like. And it's like, well, what's not to like? We're just all on the same page. And I think that's why we like it so much. And I think that just comes from the working class background that we came from. Our parents were the children of World War II. And when you've had those Python-esque, like, you don't know what it's like to have to choose between a cardboard box and a pair of wellies for a Christmas present, you never lose those stories because they're told to you when you're a kid and you just remember them forever. They become more comical the older you get. But I think that working class kind of upbringing that we had, when you get to become this, I suppose now people would say, elitist rock band, we just jump on the opportunity to just keep this thing going because it's so much fun.
What did your parents say when you said to them that you were going to be a rock star and that you grew your hair long?
I'll give you two guesses. Oh, I don't know, son, you should get yourself a proper job. But in fairness, while they were saying that, my mum was keeping a scrapbook of all the local cuttings out the Sheffield Star and stuff like that. Of course, as soon as we got offered a record deal, they're like, go on, off you go.
Yeah, my dad said to me I was doing this job for about 20 odd years until he passed away, and he was still saying to me, when are you going to get a proper job? And I was like, well, 20
my
years.
Parents gave up on that once they saw that we flew them out to the LA Forum in 1983 and they saw us playing on stage, and Brian May got up to do the encore with us and stuff, and they knew who he was, And what's the weirdest thing is that my dad was then 53 and my mom was 51 and I'm 66 now. And I thought they were old.
I remember my dad's 40th birthday and he had like patches on his elbow, would wear a tie. And here I am, I'm 48 now. Look at me, still dressing like a teen.
My dad was cool. He had long hair and Fred Perry's.
You have managed to remain an incredibly contemporary band, okay? And I think that part of that is that your fan base has sort of kept evolving as well. And whether that is younger artists sort of talking about embracing, performing your songs, and just the fact that the music is feel-good music. Is that part of the reason, do you think?
I think so, yeah. We've never been a band that's strayed too far from the entertainment factor of what it's supposed to be. When you're a kid and you grow up with what was essentially at the time one radio station to listen to, unless it was a pirate one out in the sea, and it's a top 40 station, you're not going to be listening to Sabbath and Zeppelin all that much because they're going to be on specialist shows 2 hours a week, and normally at 11 o'clock at night when you're normally in bed because you're 8 or 9 years old, so you've got this 20-30 minute show on a Thursday night that you'd see Slade, T-Rex, Bowie, Queen, eventually, Susie Quattro, whatever it was, the guitar pop, big choruses, big guitars, big drums. It seeps into your DNA. And when you listen to the lyrics of a Mama, We're All Crazy Now, or, Come On, Feel the Noise, Devilgate Drive, they're hardly singing about, Westminster Abbey or, the House of Parliament or the White House. It's like, just raise your fists and have a good time, and that's been our mantra, it's not like we're not capable of being serious. We touch on the odd bit of, like Gods of War from Hysteria is like us standing in Finland and watching the futility of missiles flying over our head from east and west, cancelling each other out.
That was then. Generally speaking, still feels like now.
Want to get rocked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, looking back at albums like Hysteria, Pyromania, they were classic. They were the classic days of making albums, really. Days that I think have probably gone for a lot of the business now. But there was a time, they were the good old days when you would be working with the biggest producers and, people would be grabbing the records off you because it had to go to press, and you were like, no, one more song, and that song just happens to be like Pour Some Sugar on Me or whatever. That doesn't happen these days, does it?
Not so much because there's not such of a demand. Let's be honest, Def Leppard now is more known for selling tickets than albums. Albums, it's Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, etc. Us, we sell records, and I think we just went into some, not Guinness book, but whatever. We've top 10 an album in 5 different decades. Wow. Which is pretty cool, There's a great story for the aunties and uncles and stuff like that, But we still want to make records. That's the great thing. When the lockdown came along, literally the day that everybody was supposed to fly into Ireland, into my studio, they shut down old flights. So I got on the phone with Phil and I said, what are we going to do now? And in a 40-minute conversation, he said, well, we could do it remotely. I said, what you got? He said, well, I've got 3. And I then explained to him he actually had 4 because we had this song called This Guitar that we'd been sitting on for years and we've got to do it. I had 3, and then we brought Sav into the conversation. He had 2. So in 40 minutes, we had 9 songs. And we decided to do what Queen always did. If we wrote a song and you had a start, middle, and an end, that was it. No argument. We're doing it. No, oh, can we take that bit out and put my bit in? We just trusted each other that we'd written songs, and that's how we did the last album. It was the most freeing thing we've ever done. We had the most fun making an album where we were essentially 3,000 miles apart from each other and gluing it all together in our engineer's studio.
I love that.
And it sounds like we did it in Abbey Road. And we're doing it again.
And live music really has become the industry, right? That is, you were talking about Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift. Well, they're also the ones selling all the tickets along with you guys as well, and the likes of Coldplay, etc. You got this huge tour that is coming up next summer.
Not quite as big as Oasis, but we'll take it, you know.
And you're going to get out there and you're going to see the whites of people's eyes, and it's where your band comes alive. And when you see bands like Oasis, when you see bands like Coldplay doing their thing, does that mean that you have to keep coming up with different things to do as part of your tour, the production? Because the show, a Def Leppard show, is a big show, right?
It is, and we keep trying to reinvent it. We don't rest on our laurels. You know, we've for example, we've been doing this kind of under the radar American tour this summer, and we are putting that show to bed in a couple of weeks' time. And then we've got this Vegas residency starting in February, where we're going to bring a brand new show to the theatre, the Caesar's Palace, and that's going to expand out into the arenas and the festivals next summer in the UK and Europe. But it'll be a totally different show. Now, of course, totally different show doesn't mean we're going to drop every single song and play something else. The hot chestnuts, or the crown jewels, as you call them, or as we call them, we're not going to do a gig where we don't play Photograph, Sugar, Animal, Love Bites, etc., because that's like McCartney or the Stones not doing Lady Madonna or Jumping Jack Flash. I mean, people come to see what they know with bands that are legacy bands. If you've got some new music, you can get away with it if you don't ram it down people's throats, because even the biggest artists in the world, if they walk on stage and go, I'm going to play like 45 minutes of material you've never heard, half the crowd are going to go buy a beer. It's fact. So you've got to be sensible about it. And it's not being, yes, you're relying on your back catalogue, I suppose, but anybody that's been around for 48 years will do that. If you go and see Sting, U2, Duran Duran, us, Iron Maiden, you're going to hear some new stuff, but the majority of it is going to be things that people want to hear that they grew up listening to.
And the tour kicks off in June, tail end of June in Belfast, visiting Glasgow and Sheffield. That'll be a big show, always a big homecoming show. And then in London and Birmingham and Manchester, even going out to Dubai. Is there anywhere that you've played that you haven't played yet?
China. Yeah, that's about it. I can't think of anywhere. The Far East, you know, the Middle East. Yeah. We've never done the Lebanon or any of those, Iraq or Iran, and probably never will.
But you enjoy it still?
Oh, man, it's just the greatest. You know, me and Phil share a tent on one side, and Sav and Viv on the other side, and Rick's got his middle bit. He paces up and down till he gets onto his kit. And me and Phil are just poking each other and having jokes before we go on, peering through the curtain if there's a little hole and looking at the crowd and going, check it out, look at this. And you see all those people and you think, this is why we formed a band. And it's why, you know, Phil formed, you know, he was in Girl in London while we were up in Sheffield, and we were all doing the similar thing but different. And then they came to Sheffield opening for UFO, and instead of going back to Buxton for some strange reason, which is where the hotel was, him and the singer Phil Lewis stayed at my mum and dad's house. And then when I went down to London, I slept on his couch and we became mates. And then we realised we had so much in common that when Pete left, he had to be the guy. And we realised then it's like we were like destined to be together. Yeah. It just needed a moment like that for it to actually come to fruition, if you like.
I love it. I love chatting to you. Your energy, your enthusiasm for music is infectious. Your live shows, I mean, seeing Def Leppard is an experience, and there aren't many bands who put on a show quite like Def Leppard. All the details on your website. You're going out with Extreme as well. Come back in.
Great guys.
Come back in and see us anytime, because it's always nice to see you. So I've got a few questions here for Joe. This is less about Joe Elliott, the guy from Def Leppard. This is Joe Elliott, the music fan.
Okay, I'll do my best.
I've got a funny feeling all of these are going to be super easy for you. So forgive me if they're too easy. Question number 1. What is the longest track on Pink Floyd's 1971 Metal album?
Oh, good God. Astro. No. What's it?
Echoes.
Oh, Echo. See?
Okay.
One question, 0 points.
Which band recorded the song 21st Century Schizoid Man in 1969, considered one of the first progressive rock tracks?
That would be King Crimson.
Of course it is. What was the opening track on Mott the Hoople's 1974 The Hoople album?
Golden Age of Rock and Roll.
I knew you'd get that one. Name all three Spiders in David Bowie's band.
Mick Ronson, Trevor Bolder, Woody Woodmansey.
Of course. And what was the last track listed on Def Leppard's 1980 debut album?
Oh, Christ. Let me think. Overture.
And for a bonus point, Joe, how long was that song?
7 minutes and 7 seconds.
Oh, nearly 7:44.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 4 out of 5.
Oh, 4 out of 6 or 3 out of 5, because I got the Pink Floyd one wrong. I would have got that wrong anyway. I was going to say, and I can't remember what it's actually called, but don't they do a song called Astro Domini or something like that?
I mean,
but I think that came before
and
Medal.
all Pink Floyd songs at that
And
period.
I didn't listen to Medal. I'm afraid I was too young. I came in many years after, but I came in on Dark Side. But I don't think I heard that till I was like 18 years old. It came out when I was 13. See, I didn't have any friends that listened to that kind of stuff. I had one mate 3 years older than me, and he got me into King Crimson, which is why I knew that one, and Jethro Tull and ELP. But for some reason, Pink Floyd they just passed me by.
ELP, blimey, there's a blast from the past. Joe Elliott, thank you.
My pleasure.